Oil Tribe. My name is Lena and I'm so excited to bring you this first in a series of continuing education specific for our group of oil users. It's going to be awesome. Today we're going to work specifically and talk about some practical ways to support our respiratory system. So we're going to think about this in 3 different ways. First, we're going to talk about just some basic maintenance of our respiratory system. Then we're going to talk about some preventative things that we can do to support our breathing. And then last, we're going to look at a few options if you feel like maybe your respiratory system has been compromised for some reason. So we can't talk about respiratory health without first starting with Breathe, obviously. The proprietary respiratory blend from doTERRA. It has oils and it's specifically meant to help support easy breathing. It's really what it's about. It can be used topically. You're going to want to dilute it though. That eucalyptus and peppermint in it can be pretty strong to your skin. Or you can use it aromatically. Obviously, aromatically is awesome for respiratory system because you're going to be breathing that in. It's going to immediately hit that respiratory system in your chest, and in your head as well. So my favorite way to diffuse this is actually at night. A lot of times I'll be chugging all day and feeling like, oh, I'm good to go. And a lot of times gravity helps with our breathing, and especially in our sinuses, right? Because everything is probably draining on its own pretty well in the natural way that it should. But the second that we go horizontal and we go to lay down at night, everything kind of settles in our chest and in our face. And it might be compromising our sleep more than we even realize. A lot of times I'll think I slept great and my husband's like, no, you're fooling yourself. No, you didn't. So we will actually diffuse this with our sleep blends at night. Personally, Peace is my jam. It's what we usually use in the evenings to help kind of turn off my brain. So I will put Peace and Breathe in my diffuser before bed. And it just helps make sure that any snoring issues, any breathing issues that I might have going on while I'm trying to sleep really helps open those breathing airways. The other way that we're going to look at just basic maintenance of our respiratory system is using our allergy trio, unofficial allergy trio of lavender, lemon, and peppermint. These are actually, if you want to take them internally, it's really easy to just purchase the Tri-Ease gel caps. It has these 3 oils already in it. You can also use them aromatically in a diffuser to help your just basic maintenance of your breathing, especially during seasonal changes, or you can apply them topically as well. What I love about this is it actually hits your respiratory system in all ways. Peppermint, I mean, all you have to do is open your bottle of peppermint and smell it. You're going to feel everything start to kind of open. It's going to really open those airways up. Lemon is very detoxing to the body, and it will also be detoxing to your respiratory system. It's very drying of the sinus cavity, especially when you are breathing it in. The one I think in this trio sometimes is overlooked for its importance is lavender. When we think about what allergies really are, it's our body overreacting to a stimulus. And when we think about emotional overreaction, right, sometimes we think about lavender. It's very calming. Well, it's going to have that same effect to our respiratory system as well. When our body's overreacting to something, lavender can help calm that sensation. So those 3 are also very, very cool to use for just basic maintenance, especially when we're talking about seasonal threats that come with seasonal changes. In our household, that change from winter to spring, man, in North Texas, it's brutal. Like, you can see stuff just flying through the air. And then also that transition from summer to fall is really difficult for our family in particular and our respiratory system. So those are just our basic maintenance oils that we use. When we talk about preventative and really being proactive about our respiratory systems, this one really hits home for me. I did not start with oils for my respiratory system, but I needed some emotional help, right? Stress and anxiety. But my respiratory issues were what changed our household. That went beyond just, I use some oils, to we need to look at a lifestyle change. And it really came in this preventative and proactive piece. I was having some really serious issues. Turns out, come to find out, statistically, Women often start showing asthmatic symptoms not until they're in their 20s. Well, at the same time, I got my first teaching job as an elementary school teacher, and it was this perfect storm of suddenly having breathing issues medically, along with being sneezed on and just being constantly surrounded by germs. And those two things coming together were this perfect storm of I could never breathe, really, truthfully. And it was going to be about a 3-month wait to get into a respiratory specialist. I was using my rescue inhaler on the daily. Yeah, on the daily. It was this cycle of I could just not get well. And even when it was something else that was the issue, maybe I was having some other medical issue, I knew that the root problem was my respiratory system. My body was in overdrive just trying to keep up. And it compromised the rest of my immune system. And then you add like germy kids on top of that, and man, I just couldn't get well. So in that 3-month wait to be able to get into a specialist, who I do work very closely with still, and that mix of natural solutions with my doctor, I can now say I'm in a completely different place in my health. And in that 3-month waiting gap, though, I had contacted Paris, and I said, you know what, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. With no intention of talking about oils, I just genuinely called her because I was panicking. And she said, okay, we need to start changing some things in your household. So there were 2 main things that we changed to be just preventative and proactive towards my respiratory system. Number 1, you're going to have to throw out your candles and all your wax warmers. But they're really cute, and I spent a lot of money on them, and I love how my house smells. Okay, well, then I did some research, and I actually looked at what I was choosing to burn into the air, and it's shocking how toxic those things are. And the things I was choosing to put into the air, there's a lot of things we don't have a choice. I can't change all of the things in the air in my home, or especially outside, right? I can't take all the pollen out. I can't take all the pollution out of the air. But the things that I can have control over are things like burning things into the air in my home from a candle or a wax warmer. So we threw them out, and like, when you really read about it, I mean, some of those toxic chemicals, like, they can upset like your endocrine receptors, and I mean, it's like some scary stuff beyond just your respiratory system. So we threw them out, and I decided, okay, I gotta find some oils I really love the smell of then to diffuse, and I need some more diffusers. So that was step 1. Citrus Bliss and Purify became like my go-tos. Oh, Citrus Bliss with that citrus smell with the vanilla undertones. Oh my God. I love it. So I accepted throwing out the candles. The second thing that we did that was proactive towards my respiratory system was we cleaned out my cleaning cabinet. This little 600 square foot apartment with 0 ventilation. When I went to clean it, if I was going to like really clean, I'm not like a super tidy person every day, but when I'm going to clean, like I really get into it. I just do it all in one fell swoop. I was using my rescue inhaler 5 to 6 times on cleaning day, and I was miserable the whole time. It was a really nice excuse to not clean, but besides that, it was miserable. So we cleaned out all the toxic cleaning chemicals in our household, and I literally replaced it with 2 glass spray bottles, 1 with water and On Guard concentrate, and 1 with water, vinegar, melaleuca, and lemon. And those are the only 2 cleaning products that I use for almost every single surface in my house now. First of all, so much more handy to only have 2 spray bottles than the 10 or 12 that I had previously. But also, what really amazed me was that the products in this bottle didn't just not upset my respiratory system, but they actually aid in my respiratory system. So we know that we already talked about how lemon can help it. And melaleuca also is very cleansing, very opening, and very healthy for our respiratory system. So not only was everything in my house looking cleaner than it ever had before, side bonus to this, but when I was cleaning, I was actually aiding my respiratory system rather than harming it. It's win-win. The only negative side effect of that is I have no excuse not to clean anymore. So those preventative things of getting rid of the candles, getting rid of the cleaning products, and really shifting our household into this more natural and less toxic chemicals that I'm choosing to spray into the air, and really compromising my respiratory system. That alone, in that 3 months before I could get into a specialist, did wonders for my respiratory system. If nothing else, I was comfortable in my own home again. I didn't realize how much I was actually causing the breathing issues that I was having. So the last way that we're going to talk about our respiratory system is if we feel that something's brewing. Our respiratory system has somehow, some way become compromised. And there's 3 oils we're going to talk about. Number 1, the first thing that I would go and grab would be my Melaleuca. 2 reasons. Number 1, it's very cleansing, very opening to the respiratory system in my chest, and it specifically, really also, I feel it in my face when I use that Melaleuca. The other thing is that it's a very gentle cleansing properties to it that will help if there are any threats going on, right? So in Melaleuca, I can apply it to my chest. I can add it to a diffuser. I can add it to the bottom of my feet, put some socks on, especially because it's not my personal favorite smell in the whole wide world. So usually throw some socks on over it. But this is a great one if you feel like there might be some compromised immune system things going on. It's also, if you dilute it, safe for kids as well. So if you feel like you have a kid who is just, there's something starting to go on, there's some kind of compromise happening, I would dilute lavender and Melaleuca and apply it to the bottom of their feet, the back of their spine, and it's going to kind of kickstart that immune system and open everything in their chest as well. So it's win-win. If you need something a little heavy hitting, if you're like, man, that didn't do it, this is a serious issue at this point, then you're going to want to go for your big guns and grab your oregano. My favorite way to use oregano, I don't generally put it on topically because it's very, very hot. You have to dilute it significantly. Also, you're going to smell like spaghetti. So my favorite way to use oregano are in these little gel caps. I'm going to put one drop in this little gel cap, in the big part, right? I also personally add 1 drop of digestin because I just want to make sure that when that oregano does get where it needs to be, that it's not going to upset anything in my stomach. So I put some digestin in there, and then I fill the rest with olive oil. That olive oil also is a nice coating as this dissolves in your stomach as well. You pop the top back on and you take them. You can actually make these ahead of time too. They'll last quite a while. I have some friends that make them and store them in the refrigerator. I don't know if they stay longer that way or if it's just something they have decided that's where they need to go. I'm not really quite sure, but you can make them ahead of time as well. Now, the one thing I will caution you about with oregano, just like many prescription medications, there is a 10-day max out period of using it. 10 consecutive days of using oregano, and then you're going to want to pause because that's how strong it is. Also, if you do max out at that 10 days, I have never had to go more than 4 days. It has cleared everything up in about 4 days. And generally, and that was when it was really bad. Most of the time, after about 2 days, if I hit it early enough, it's so strong mixed with that Melaleuca happening at the same time. I've never had to go a full 10 days. But if you do, you're going to want to follow it with a doTERRA probiotic as well. Because you just want to make sure it hasn't gone. You don't want it to tilt too far into the side that it started harming some good things happening in your body as well. So if you feel like your respiratory system, or really any system in your body, truthfully, has been compromised, oregano is a great, hard, heavy-hitting oil that's going to go in and really boost your immune system. And the last one, and probably the one I should start with, because it really is the one, the single oil, if I could only have one respiratory oil, this is the one I would pick, because it is the one that has helped in daily maintenance, as well as when I feel like my system has been compromised for some reason, whether it's because I was too active, whether it's because of seasonal threats, whether it's because there were irritants in the air of some kind, whatever the case may be, the oil that I'm going to reach for always is Siberian fir. And it used to be white fir, and at convention, when the big picture of white fir came up with discontinued across it, I really thought that I was gonna like die right then and like just shed a tear. Like, what? No, like that is an oil that genuinely gives me relief on a daily basis. And to hear like it's gonna be gone, but then no fear. They popped up a picture of Siberian fir and showed that the chemical constituent within these fir oils that specifically helps your respiratory system is double, actually it's more than double in Siberian fir than it was in white fir. So I was at ease all of a sudden. So I keep a bottle of Siberian fir at home on the Tree of Life over here. I keep a bottle in my purse for if we're out and about and suddenly I'm having some respiratory issues. This could also be caused by some anxious feelings. You get that tight chest feeling because you got some feelings going on. This is another one I would reach for in that case as well. I find that my melaleuca, my lemon, my peppermint, my breathe, it's all great for my sinuses up in the respiratory part in my head. What makes a difference when I'm feeling anything in my chest, though, is Siberian fir. I will mix it with these other ones we've talked about, but this is my game changer. I have one at work as well. Sometimes like I will just straight and I'll sit and I will just smell it at my desk and it just opens everything up here. Now granted, this is just my testimonial. It's what has helped me when I feel like my chest needs support, not just my sinuses and my face. You know, when I say my face, I don't mean my skin. I mean like the breathing part of my face, my nose, my sinuses, my throat, you know, all of those good things. So, to recap, basic maintenance, you're going to want to get your breathe out. During seasonal changes, you're going to want to have that lemon, lavender, and peppermint and use it before you feel horrible. Don't wait. If you know the weather is changing, you know the seasons are changing, apply it proactively. Go ahead and think about what are some of the things that I can control in my household. What are some of these toxic chemicals that, especially things I'm spraying, that might be affecting me or my kids or my spouse or my pets? And much less, should I really be using these cleaning products that aren't safe to have around my kids to start with? Think about this, right? And then lastly, some of these ideas about if you feel like your system's been compromised, grab for that melaleuca, grab for that oregano, grab for the Siberian fir, because they're really going to just not only help your respiratory system, but get your immune system back on track where it needs to be. I can't wait to hear some celebrations. Please comment with them. If you have testimonies of these oils or other oils, this is like the tip of the iceberg. I've been talking for 17 minutes, and this is still we could talk about arbor vitae. We could talk about lime. Lime is great, not just for cocktails, ladies and gentlemen, but for your respiratory system as well. Cardamom is great. Like, I could do a whole nother 20-minute class on just the other oils, but I digress. Get your Essential Life book out and look those ones up because I'm getting a little long. So I'm just really excited. If you have testimonies about these oils or others, please comment with them. I'm going to be checking this like crazy. If you have questions, if you want to reach out to me personally, private message me. I'm so into sharing what has worked for me. And that's really what these suggestions are. I picked out the oils that have had the best effect for me and my family. And if I can share that and add a little piece of relief and comfort to someone in your family, then man, this is all worth it, right? I can't wait to hear from all of you. I know you're going to comment. And I really can't wait for the rest of the classes in this series. I am so excited to learn from all of these amazing oil educators that we get to share this group with. So I just can't wait to hear from you. Bye, oil friends.